This video will be a recap of the Renee Crown Honors Capstone entitled Advertising's Harmonic Vault, the Evolution of Sound Design in Commercials. This capstone was an exhibit created on April 8th and 9th, 2016 at the Delavan Center in Syracuse, New York. It portrays the last 60 years of sound design in commercials since the start of television. Music's power to transform and enhance human emotion is unquestionable. In order to better organize this research and present it effectively, it was divided by decade, allowing me to focus on how other artistic, political, and cultural trends of the time affected the sound chosen for these advertisements. This is present within the exhibit as it is also divided by decade, which allows me to control the feel and ambiance of each room individually. Sit back and enjoy. The image you see before you is the opening poster that was shown at the start of the exhibit. It created a baseline knowledge for all of the viewers coming through it. This was important to note because it set up the first advertisement they were going to see while stepping in and allowed them to understand a basis of what advertising and sound was like before the start of television. This poster details what radio advertisement was like, which was promoting the practical value of the product. The Great Depression also forced advertisers to resort to more aggressive marketing techniques in order to maintain sales in an economic crisis. This, along with the heightened presence of branding, sparked a creative revolution in the advertising world. This was the area that television was ready for. This image is of the opening jingle trail. The jingle trail is an area of the exhibit that repeated throughout. It was placed between rooms and was a private listening station used with headphones, which shed light on specifically how jingles evolved. Jingles were largely influenced by pop music as well as other social changes. The 1950s were an interesting era. There was a large era of conservatism that flowed throughout, specifically because it was ruled by a generation that was defined by its post-war distress. The growth of an affluent middle class allowed families to enjoy the luxury of television. This is where television programming began with simple but scheduled shows that were designed for a habitually radio audience, and it sounded just like it. Television commercials at the time were slow-moving and did not take risks, and that is due to a lack of understanding, not exercising the medium to its full potential. The commercial chosen to represent the 1950s is for Instant Folgers coffee. This is one commercial in a set that showed similarly husband-pleasing scenarios. It was showcased on an iPad that was put inside of a monitor created to resemble a 1950s entertainment system. What's important about this advertisement is the lack of non-diegetic sounds. There's no musical component, and the only sound you can hear is of the voices of the actors. This is what the standard of sound was like in the 1950s in commercials. It was informative and it served a practical purpose, but there was no other artistic musical element.
Harold, is the coffee all right?
Mm-mm.
You mean it's as bad as yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
No improvement at all?
Mm-mm.
Harold, don't just shake your head. You've got to tell me what's wrong with the coffee.
Bad taste.
Now what am I going to do? Oh, Mary, hi.
Hello, Jane.
Listen, help me out, will you? Harold hates my coffee. What kind do you use?
Instant Folgers.
Instant Folgers?
Tastes good as fresh perked.
Good as fresh perked? I'll try it.
Gene, this coffee is delicious. Do you know that?
Mm-hmm.
It's not the same kind we've been using, is it?
Mm-mm.
Don't just shake your head. Explain why the coffee's so good.
Good taste.
Tastes good as fresh perked. Instant Folgers.
The 1960s were a tumultuous decade that opened with the start of President Kennedy's entrance into office. Because of the social changes that were happening at the time, there was a large part of the population that was striving for change and trying to break barriers, while there were still people who fought to keep their sense of what they believed as normalcy. Advertisers struggled to find balance between the social paradigms they knew and the abundant, vibrant culture that they couldn't ignore. Because of this, the 1960s is the only room within the exhibit that showcases 2 advertisements instead of 1. It designed it this way in order to show the bridge of social change that was occurring at the time. The first advertisement shown showcases something more similar to the 1950s, in which there's a conservative view of what a woman should be like and more minimalistic sonic components. The second advertisement shows a representation of the hippie culture, as well as integrates a sonic component which nods at Otis Redding's version of Try a Little Tenderness.
If you're a city slicker like Ann Foster, you come from Waterloo, Iowa. You learned fast, and wanted to read your newspaper in half, to order Danish, not sweet rolls, to almost like cardboard coffee. But this you do hold on to. Every woman needs to be herself at times. Your answer? Baking. Baking good, baking often with gold medal flour. Little kitchen, true. Strange oven, also true. But you feel about gold medal the way most women do. You count on gold medal. Trust it so much you don't sift anymore. Gold medal flour is that fine, that uniform, that dependable. It gives you a feeling of confidence right down to your fingertips. What some call a white thumb. Couldn't your baking use this touch of gold medal confidence? Your white thumb?
Harold, oh, Harold, look what I bought. Like it?
Take it back.
What?
Take it back. It's ugly.
Ugly. Oh, it's high fashion.
You look foolish. Take it back.
Try to use a little tenderness, tender, soft Charmin. Charmin bathroom tissue gives you tenderness. A little tender touch wouldn't hurt.
I'm sorry about what I said.
That's okay, Harold. See, this Charmin is tender.
Yeah, it is tender.
It's a deep down tenderness that's soft and cushiony. Tender fragrance, too.
You know something? You look nifty in that outfit.
Charmin bathroom tissue gives you tenderness. A little tender touch wouldn't hurt.
Try to use a little tenderness. Try Charmin and get the tender touch.
The 1960s also showcased a jingle trail as well as a listening of Jimi Hendrix's performance at Woodstock of the Star-Spangled Banner. This was set in order to showcase the way that the pop music scene was evolving as well as what jingles were like at the time. The layout of the 1970s room was very interesting because on the left side, I portrayed 3 images that showed how much social and political pressure there was going on. The first is of the Kent State shootings. The second is a newspaper print from the New York Times of the day that Nixon resigned. And the third is of John Lennon and Yoko Ono's campaign, War is Over. And on the right side of the room was the ad that was picked, the Coca-Cola commercial Hilltop. I designed the room this way so that on one side you could feel tension, and on the other side you could feel the hope that was created with that advertisement.
I'd like to buy the world a home and furnish it with love. Grow apple trees and honey bees and snow white turtle doves. I like teach the world to sing. Sing with me. Perfect harmony. Perfect harmony. I like to buy the world a Coke and keep it company. That's the real thing. I like to teach the world to sing. Perfect harmony. Perfect, and I like to buy the world a Coke and keep it company. It's the real thing. What the world wants today. It's the real thing. What the world wants today. Is the real thing.
The 1980s was an electric era. It was one that was defined by the technological boom that completely revolutionized the way people communicated. This room showcased not only the way that MTV changed how adolescents saw pop culture and how they saw artists playing into that, but also technological innovations were seen in advertisements. Here is shown the Super Bowl ad that represents the 1980s for Pepsi Cola.
Okay, Earl, let's call it a night. Thank you. You're welcome. Despite being wonderful companions over the past semester, my subject group scored below average in all responses. They showed poor communication skills, no understanding of tools and their uses, a complete lack of organization, and no decision-making abilities. In conclusion, if I can't find some missing link that will unlock the barrier between us, this project will be canceled. Thank you. You're welcome.
The piece shown here is entitled Daisy. It is a boombox that has been altered with 80s style graffiti. This piece was very important to the layout of the room because not only did it showcase how music became portable for the first time, but it also showcases the rise of hip-hop culture. The 1990s brought with it the introduction of the internet and platforms like email and web browsing. This was showcased through the exhibit by selecting an ad for IBM personal computers' new web browser, OS2 Warp. Not only does this commercial showcase the technological nuances that were present in this decade, but it also showcases an expanded view of the world that Americans had now, which was this cultural awareness.
Ten nový OS2 Warp je vynikající. Opravdu vynikající. OS2 Warp? Ten nový software od IBM. Zrovna jsem o něm četla v časopise. Máte tam opravdový multitasking? Snadný přístup do internetu. Hrozně ráda bych tu síť vyzkoušel. To je můj beeper.
This piece was created by artist William Smith, in which he used iconic 90s graphic styles and superimposed it onto the OS2 Warp interface in order to create something that truly spoke to what the 1990s looked like while representing the interface that was shown in the commercial you just watched. The start of a new millennium brought with it groundbreaking events. Between September 11th and a war on terror, along with 2 economic crashes, America was ready for the new face of hope in Barack Obama. This generation also grew up with technology, which meant that by this time, life was fully digitized. The nuance had disappeared, and rather, it was a part of integrated life. The ready access to consumer information completely revolutionized the way that advertising functioned. It allowed advertisers to be much more personal and create much more meaningful stories to their consumer. The example you're about to watch is a Honda commercial that really showcases not only how beautiful sound can be in an advertisement when looked at it with extreme detail, but how personal a conversation can get between an advertiser and its consumer when an advertiser understands a consumer on multiple levels.
Isn't it nice when things just work?
Zeitgeist, the general beliefs, ideas, and spirit of a time and place as shown by the culture of that time. Having the ability to look back at the way a society has developed through its production of art is an unspoken treasure. Although often forgotten, advertising with its music is its own form of art. Because of this, I have chosen the Google Year in Review Zeitgeist video from 2015 to end this exhibit.
For the people out there wondering what this is all about, whether it's about courage or controversy, well, I'll tell you what it's all about. It's about what happens from here.
Thank you, and good night.
Live, fight like hell.
It's not just about one person. It's about thousands of people. It's about all of us. Accepting one another.
This morning, the Supreme Court recognized that the Constitution guarantees marriage equality.
We're all different. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. And while it may not be easy to get past the things you don't always understand, it is absolutely possible if we only do it together.
Using the Google Zeitgeist commercial as the culminating ad for this exhibit ties together the idea that each room within the exhibit was a zeitgeist of its own, while also exemplifying the power that well-balanced audio decisions can provide for a viewer. My research revealed that not only has the attention to the sonic component of advertising increased over time, but it has also developed immensely due to the ease that technology has allowed it to. It was my intention to inform while leaving space for individual interpretation within this exhibit. This has been a presentation of Zeitgeists seen through the lens of advertising's sonic design. Thank you.